Hello and welcome to my Game Master's perspective of Cities Without Numbers, the newest role-playing game by Kevin Crawford, who has formerly done Stars Without Numbers and Worlds Without Numbers. In this video I will give you a brief overview over the game and its rules, show you my highlights, and in the end I'll tell you who I think would enjoy this game and what other games and books to use this with. Let me show you the character sheet to give you a brief overview of the rules. Basically, this is an old D&D variant, so we've got your 6 attributes of strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom and charisma. And depending on the actual score of the attributes, they give you a bonus from -2 to +2. You've got hit points that are 1d6 plus constitution times character level, though you roll this total every level, and if you roll higher than last time you rolled, you raise your maximal hit points, so that over the long run, one good roll or one bad roll won't mess up your hit points. Furthermore, the game knows major injuries, more on that later. You've got an additional score which is called system strain, that determines how much cyberware you can put into your body and how much healing and other meddling with your body can take before you need to rest and recover. You've got saving throws, physical, evasion, mental and luck, depending on your ability scores and your level. You don't have to look them up in a table anywhere. You've got an ascending armor class that is separated in melee and ranged. And your armor also has soak, which work like temporary hit points. These armor hit points are used up before your actual hit points, and they regenerate after each fight. Finally, your trauma target, which determines how often you get critically hit. More on that later. Additionally, you've got 19 skills. The skill check is rolled with 2d6 plus your skill level plus a relevant attribute bonus against a target number. For character creation, you'd roll 3d6 down the line and at the end replace one attribute score with a 14, or you just assign 14 to 7 to your attributes. Then you choose background or roll on this D20 table. Your background gives you a free skill. Then you can decide either to roll 3 times on the learning table to give you more skills, or select 2 skills from the learning table, or just take the 2 quick skills, which are probably the most appropriate for your background. The first time you get any training in a skill, the skill level actually only goes to 0. The second time you get a skill, it goes to 1. And at character creation, it can't go above level 1. Lastly, you get 1 roll on your growth table that can give you a bonus to any stat of your choice, bonus to saving throws, or additional skills. Next, you come up or roll on this table for contacts. You know either 2 acquaintances or you have 1 friend, and in a cyberpunk game, you are who you know. Next, you pick an edge to further describe your characters. You want to be a face man, a ghost, a hacker, or a wired street samurai. Additionally, you pick 1 focus, which further specializes your character, gives them additional abilities, sometimes equipment. For example, if you take the Ace Driver focus, you get a budget to buy and modify a vehicle of your own. Then you determine your hit points, your attack bonus, your saving throws. Buy your starting gear with just $500, or pick and modify one of the starting equipment sets. Then you're up to the final touches. Pick a free bonus skill, record weapons and armor, choose a starting language, pick a name, a goal and ties. A goal and ties is important in a sandbox game, because it tells you what your character wants to achieve and who he knows to achieve it with. Cities Without Numbers is mainly made for a sandbox style game, though the tools in the GM section are a great resource for any type of game. But for sandbox especially, this has one of the best GM sections there are, telling you how to run a sandbox style game and giving you all the necessary tools to make it work. As you can see, during the whole character creation, you didn't pick a race or class. As default, everyone is assumed to be a human and everyone is assumed to be an operator. Though it is possible to use classes from other without numbers games and optional races. There are even some optional races in the later sections of the book. One peculiarity of the combat rules are the traumatic hits. When a weapon hits, not only do you roll the dice for the damage, but you also roll a trauma die. And if that trauma die is equal or higher than the target's trauma value, you apply the trauma rating to the weapon damage. So for most firearms, that is 3 times the damage. And a default level 1 character has a trauma rating of 6. So even a hit from a heavy pistol with just 1d6 trauma die will hit for traumatic damage every 6th shot. And it only gets worse from there. If you are hit by a shotgun, there's a good chance you will not only take 3d4, but 3 times 3d4. This trauma rule alone makes combat very fast and deadly. And combined with major injuries, you will have to replace most parts of a character with cyberware if they're having a long career as an operative. Another highlight is that you can modify your gear. You can modify your armor. You can modify your weapons. You can modify your cyberware. There's also a lot of cyberware to chrome up your character however you like. You can modify your cyber decks. You can modify your drones and fit them out with a number of special equipment and weapons. Of course, you can modify and tune and customize your vehicles to your heart's content. The amount of customizability of your character, the equipment, the cyberware, and the amount of customizability of a single piece of the equipment is definitely a highlight of this game. I also want to highlight the hacking rules, which strike a good balance between usability and complexity. They assume that in your dystopian cyberpunk world, hacking has become so much of a problem that modern networks are both small and mostly wired so that the servers can actually provide security. That does 2 things. For one, it forces your hacker to actually go with the rest of your team to missions, not just stay at home and do everything through the matrix. And it means that your cybersecurity networks are of a manageable size, so they don't take ages to prepare and run during the game. But there's still enough crunch in here to make hacking its very own and interesting thing. For hacking, you use programs in your cyberdeck. Every time you want to use them, you combine your very own special program from a list of subjects and verbs on your cyberdeck. Subjects are targets of your hacking attempt. That can be a virtual avatar, firewall, camera as the usual target, data file, door, machine program, whatever you can meet in a security network. And then the verbs are what you want to do to that target. Activate it, analyze it, blind it, deactivate it, kill it, hijack it, glitch it. There's a huge number of options and you will have to choose, especially at the beginning, which of these you really need. What is your approach to hacking? Do you try to go in very stealthily and let all of your hacking look like the system's just glitching out? Or do you go in virus code blazing and just kill whatever eyes and hackers try to stop you? The hacking section is complete with a good example and instructions how you build your cybersecurity system step by step, making it easy for everyone to understand for your own game preparation. The major highlight of Cities Without Number have to be the creation tools and random tables to create your own cyberpunk setting. This takes you through the process and all of the principles step by step, through all the themes you might touch upon, helping you to create the world's problems, the city's problems, the city districts, and especially your starting district, your home district, and the problems of that district. It helps you creating your evil mega corporations. Huge random tables to roll on for inspiration to create these mega corporations. You've got tools to create gangs, to create NPCs, and finally tools for creating and running missions, taking you step by step through the preparation. You can create your antagonist schemes with scheme goals and milestones for those schemes that can be disrupted by your operators. You get all the advice you need to create missions step by step, with a number of example missions you can use as a starting point right away and start prepping for the game. But of course there are random tables as well for every imaginable type of cyberpunk operator mission. All of these tables are system agnostic, meaning you can use them for any cyberpunk role-playing game. And all of these random tables, these world generation tools, NPC generation tools, mission generation tools, are system agnostic. You can use them with any cyberpunk setting and system that you're running. If it is very rules light and also light on the descriptions like Cyborg, then you find the tools here to make more adventures for it and flesh out some of the backgrounds, so you choose. Or for a game that already has a lot of background and lore and missions, like Shadowrun. These are just great universal tools and random tables. The world building section ends with an example sandbox, which is built with the random tables and tools from this chapter. But there's a warning that you don't have to be as thorough and produce as much text as this example. The setting is the disunited States, a collapsed United States of America with a timeline of collapse. And it's set in the city of Neo-Chicago and Lake Michigan. We also get some rules and hints how to mix this together with the other Without Numbers games. Stars Without Numbers and Worlds Without Numbers. If you want some space traveling sci-fi themes or some fantasy themes to combine with your dystopian cyberpunk, or vice versa. And just in the deluxe version you also get supplemental material, and this includes variant humans with a proposed background and the rules for them. And these Elori, Skyborn, Morlocks and Ogres are just elves, dwarves, orcs and trolls right out of Shadowrun in non-copyright infringing disguise. And together with the rules for magic that include spellcasters, spells, summoners and spirit calling with a number of spirits to choose from. And finally key adepts, the graced. This is actually supplemental rules to play a game in the style of Shadowrun, or if you so choose, play Shadowrun with rules that don't require you to open an Excel sheet every time you want to do something. So who is this for? For one, this is for a GM and a group that like their cyberpunk dystopian with a good amount of crunch, but not so much crunch that you need to use spreadsheets to build characters. They like their own settings with deep customization, deadly combat and usable hacking rules. But also, this is for any GM, any writer out there who's creative in the cyberpunk genre. The tools you'll find in here to create your world, create your states, cities, districts with all of their problems and conflicts and plot hooks, your corporations, your NPCs, your missions. These tools and random tables are so comprehensive and useful. that they make a good addition to any GM's arsenal, any cyberpunk's writer's arsenal, just to come up with ideas. And I'd say it's worth getting Cities Without Numbers just for the random tables. Finally, the deluxe version could be a great alternative if you like the Shadowrun background but don't like the very crunchy rules. Anyway, you can get a free PDF version on drivethroughrpg that contains all of the basic rules and the very useful GM tools. So there's no reason not to check it out and see if it is for you. That's all of that I have for today. I wish you safe travels, dreamers, until we shall meet again.